Hello, and welcome to Talk the Thrones. I'm Chris Ryan. I am an editor at TheRinger.com. Joining me in the studio is Joanna Robinson, and she's only here to kick ass and crush walnuts, and she's all out of walnuts. It's Mallory Rubin! We are here to break down 7, which in fact is the 4th episode of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and we shall do so right after this. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'm here with Mal and Joe, who do House of R.
That's right.
Which is where this podcast is hosted.
It's true.
Although, you know what? It's out there.
It's out there.
Call it what you want.
For the people.
You can watch us on the Ringerverse YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. You can watch us on Spotify, where I hope you're listening to us. Yep. You can listen to Mal and Joe break down these episodes in great detail.
Yeah,
loving
exhaustive.
Great detail. I didn't say that.
I would.
And you can listen to Andy and I cursorily discuss it, I think.
Yeah.
But, you know, every once in a while
everyone's participating in a shared conversation. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it comes in all sizes. So the watch, House of R, but what we're doing here is Talk the Thrones.
Correct. That's right.
Why don't we do the recap of this lovely little episodes of TV?
I can't wait for this.
I did myself a favor, and I didn't pre-read the recap.
Oh my God.
It's going to be a treat
I read
to you
like
today.
the first 2 sentences.
I have a couple of
I want to react in real time.
cul-de-sacs here. I'm going to
As
see
you
if I can
sat
get
down
out
to
of here.
type it, did you say to yourself, one need not intend harm to do it?
I didn't.
Okay.
No.
Something to think about.
The
You feel like
safeties
his
are out
recap is
there.
going to do harm to me?
No.
Need not intend it.
7.
Find out.
Let's go.
They got my boy Dunk locked up. Free Dunk. That's exactly what Egg thinks, but the prince can only do so much, so in the absence of freedom, he offers Dunk some good old-fashioned honesty. Aegon was supposed to squire for his brother Daeron, but Daeron's scouting report is apparently, quote, shit night and, quote, drunk. And he didn't want to get tooled up in the tournament, so he shaved his little brother's head, and the plan was to hide out in an inn until after March Madness.
Yeah.
But Egg wanted to see some action, so here we are. Dunk is hauled in front of Baelor to explain himself, but Baelor does most of the explaining, painting a picture of highborn like Daeron and especially Aerion, twisting narratives to escape blame and to oppress others. Duncan asks perhaps the central question of this series: don't all knights make the same oath? Mm-hmm. Baelor offers Dunk a pathway to avoiding the death pen, trial by combat. Unfortunately, Aerion has been deep in the Andal's collective bargaining agreement and counters with a demand for trial by 7. Meaning, Dunk has to raise a band of brothers to fight with him. His prospects look dim until Steph Fossoway is like, fuck it, let's play some cards. Dunk has a surprise meeting with some Targ brothers, Egg, and a sheepish, but not exactly apologetic Daeron, and hears all about how Aerion is a sadist who thinks he's actually a dragon, and he's not very nice to small animals or bigger ones, come to think of it. We go back to our horse problem.
Yeah, we.
Daeron also tells Dunk about a dream that we'll get into later and expresses his desire not to die. Mm-hmm. Dunk's luck starts to turn when he is gifted some new sick armor from Steely Pate, including a new shield painted by Tanzel before she had her fingers broken. Things really start looking up when, on the morning of his trial, he finds a bunch of knights assigned on to help him, including a guy with a broken leg, crazy Sir Robin with one eye, and Sir Lionel Baratheon, who's just there for the memories.
Couldn't even mention Beesbury.
Not even in the recap.
But I honestly, they didn't really go name
Michael
by
Beesbury doesn't even get a line in this episode.
Unfortunately, all winning streaks must come to an end, and Dunk finds out Sir Stefan has pulled a James Harden and demanded a trade to Arion's side. Duncan now needs 2 knights, or he must forfeit.
I'm sorry, I'm just so excited because I understand that reference.
James
Because I
Harden
podcast with Rob Mahoney.
He picks up one where Raymun Fossoway goes pro with a late-breaking knighting, and then after pleading with the crowd and getting laughed at for his trouble, do you believe in miracles? Baelor comes running out of the mist to join Dunk's side. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble.
Are you excited? First of all,
Damn.
That was an incredible live experience for me. Secondly, are you excited for the Miracle, the Netflix doc?
Yeah, I'm pretty well versed in that.
Yeah.
You know,
they can't tell you anything you don't already know.
But I haven't gotten to like my Zag point. Because some people are like, oh, actually the Russians weren't really trying or whatever. It's like, I just think that's pure magic right there.
Okay.
The speech, the fact that they did it, Al Michaels.
Talk about pure magic, this recap. The singers aren't going to have time to pen any tunes about the Trial of Seven. They're going to be too busy talking about your recaps.
What was your favorite moment of the episode?
Oh, no question. It's how could it not be my favorite character, Baelor Breakspear, riding in to be a first ballot inductee into the Oberyn Martell I Will Be Your Champion Hall of Fame. Obviously, some differences that we'll discuss, but it's an iconic moment in the season. It's an iconic moment in the novella. It's an iconic moment in the canon, and I was thrilled to see it brought to screen.
In the novella, are you like, oh shit?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And he's wearing someone else's armor. So at
Yes.
first you're like, what's happening?
Oh,
And then
really?
He's wearing his son's armor. And
Aerion?
then-
Not wait, his son's
Valar.
not Aerion. Valar, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Valar, who Aerion was like, I'm gonna fuck you up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so you could get a nice long look at his armor.
Yeah.
Did you have a similar reaction, favorite moment of the episode?
I have a different favorite moment, but I did text Mallory this morning because we were watching week to week on screeners. First of all, I accidentally this morning maxed out my screener view for this episode. I rewatched
yeah.
it so many times because I loved it so much. Secondly, I texted Mallory. I was like, "Oh, Raymun Fossoway is getting knighted. I'm crying. Oh, here comes Baelor. I'm crying. I literally cried twice watching it this morning." That being said, the opening shot, which is the shot of the dungeon ceiling, which at first it looks like stars.
Constellation.
And then as the light comes in, you see that he's like no longer under the stars, and his luck has changed and now he's under a ceiling. And it's just like a visual. We talked a lot on the deep dive about Sarah Dina Smith, who's the director of last week's and this week's and the finale episode. I think the visual language has really kicked up in the last two episodes. And I think this one has a lot going for it in that way.
A lot of humor in the sort of in some of the like the framing or just in the compositions. Like maybe not textually humor, but like she finds some humor in it.
Yeah. And
maybe no more so than my guy Aerion crushing nuts, which was my
favorite. Is that your favorite part?
You are nothing if not on brand, and we love that about you.
Is it because you also enjoy the pursuit of an omega-3, or how do you feel about?
It's a nice soft nut
I
after
just
a tooth
loved
injury.
him being like, pick it up to the other guy.
Yeah.
I loved him going deep into the bylaws to be like, well, if you're gonna make me do this, then I'm gonna make him do this.
Yeah.
And I loved Makar's reaction. It was just like, are you fucking hiding behind some like ancient Andals
He's like,
bullshit?
No. Yes, definitely. I'm afraid because he just kicked my ass.
He's very tall.
Sending Ashford under the table to pick up the walnut, real shades of Aegon II and Hot D, bringing his kid Zenieris to the small council and then being like, Thailand, give him a pony ride. Like,
You weren't thinking about Rickon Stark and his approach to nut cracking?
I was thinking of the walnuts with our Stark boys for sure, always.
That was my favorite moment. Just
This
because
is my favorite episode of
I
the
think
season.
you got to see the dynamic of the Targaryens in a very interesting way.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
to have Baelor and Aerion and Makar be like, well, if the Andals said it,
Exactly.
what
And we
the
get,
fuck?
of course, time with Daeron, his eldest son. So getting to see how, we talked earlier in the season about Makar's inferiority complex with his brother, in episode 2 when we watched them interact and the ugh and the pouting, to see how that inferiority complex extends to his sons.
Yeah.
What a bunch of clowns.
You watched My Lady Jane, right?
Yeah.
So Henry Ashton, who plays Daeron, was like Stan Dudley on My Lady Jane. He was so good
He's
on
great
that,
in that
show. And I thought he made a whole meal out of his opportunity here.
Yes,
in this
he was
episode.
fantastic.
see him.
I did want to talk a little bit about is Aerion right or anything like that. We're not playing around 2 weeks in a row.
Okay,
But-
sure. Team Green,
Yeah.
Chris.
I'm learning about the historical context of this moment through you two, rather than reading the books or doing any spoiling on Wikipedia or what is it, A Song of Ice and Pedia or whatever it is. Arion's sensitivity to rebellion.
Mhm.
So his idea is basically like through the arts that they're expressing their dissatisfaction with our rule,
Yeah.
and that we let one lady have a little fun with a dragon puppet, and the next thing you know,
The entire realm.
chaos in the streets.
Yeah.
My question to you, Joe.
Yeah. Did Aerion have some points?
Did Aerion have a point?
This is a real.
Is it
this is a
coming
real
off of,
spicy
because you
take
guys
for
keep mentioning
Yeah.
Blackfire Rebellion,
Sure.
Yeah.
plural,
Sure.
right?
Well,
So far
one.
There will be more. Is Aerion kind of like, hey, keep an eye out because these people are not happy with us and we have to keep it tight.
That's a great messaging, and if you want to like Caroline Levitt this whole thing for them,
Work
that's
at Arion's comms
that's
department.
fine.
Yeah.
But that's not why he is throwing a tantrum
Aerion
here.
Bright Flame has done nothing but help this realm.
Yeah,
Bright Prince
uncanny.
brightens our days.
Lamestream Media tells you that Aerion has no interest in
Uncanny. Love that
Are you
red hat on
moonlighting
you.
as Arion's comms guy after spending most of your days with Tender in their comms department, or
I
how are you
think-
spending your time?
I think does Aerion have a point is a real great question from you, Chris. And I would say no. If he wants to if he wanted to drop a few more Blackfire mentions here to really shore up his plausible deniability, he could have, but he threw a tantrum.
This is his sensitivity.
You know,
yeah.
and he was throwing a tantrum because he was already embarrassed after the tourney. He was like, look what I did. I killed a horse. Isn't it great? And his dad, his uncle made him give back all the money and give a different horse to that guy.
Yeah.
So he's already been sort of had the rolled up newspaper smacked on his nose, and then he sees the dragon puppet and he saw red and he lost his shit. And so I don't think this is a measured response to anything. And I think on the contrary,
It's like, I'm just asking questions.
You don't learn anything unless you ask, right?
on the contrary, Baelor's intention, which is like, hey, let's be cool, calm, collected, sensible Targaryen leaders. That's I think how you don't foment rebellion inside of your people.
There's no just forgiving this. He knows that there has to be some kind of resolution to this conflict.
Mm-hmm.
There are public witnesses to Dunk beaten.
They were embarrassed. Yeah. I think that Aerion could make that case, but he did as much ultimately to foment dissent and incite revolt, as we hear, as anybody else, more than anybody else, ultimately. And when we go through the roster of knights who ultimately side with Dunk, it's interesting to think about all of their respective motivations. It's not a group of people gathering together to say, I want to challenge the Targaryens. That's not what's going on for every single person who's assembled there. That said, I do think you're right that, as we've talked about all season, the Blackfire Rebellion is in the air in an inescapable way. The fact that the Targaryens don't have dragons is in the air in an inescapable way. One of the things that Daeron says, I'm excited to talk more about the dream that he shares, but we were dragon masters once, hard to believe.
Imagine,
when Dunk is like, the dragon house does not look kindly on those who oppose them. Stefan, not the guy we're looking too much like Aerion for wisdom and counsel, but he is right to say, dragon house, where are their dragons, Sir Duncan? It's a ripe moment for challenge. I thought that the Blackfire Rebellion was even in the air, as was the Dance of the Dragons, when Baelor has that electric moment. Aerion is your brother, and the Septons say we must love our brothers. He says that to Egg,
after he's
right?
like, I wish he'd killed him.
And we talked a lot on the deep dive this past week about this classic hot D idea, no man is as a curse, it's the kinslayer. The idea of watching the Targaryens tear each other down from inside the family has been the plight of the dynasty. And so it's fueling everybody's anxiety to some extent.
So to recap, Aerion had some great points.
I didn't say that.
Stefan Fossoway had some great points. Is that where the table's sitting right now?
Can you see where Aerion is coming
Free exchange
from?
of ideas.
The thing that's funny is that for as much as I love Baelor, I love the performance of Baelor.
Reddy is killing it.
He's great in it. His solution to this was, you should have come to Aegon. He's like, you should have come to me if he was a brutalizing Tanzel, and I could have done something about it. He's like, she would have been dead by then. So your ideas, your idea of the proper chain of command here still would have resulted in an innocent person dying. And it's that's why he went to Dunk, to stop it. So why don't we talk a little bit about Daeron's dream? Because I think this will probably be
It's very exciting.
not forgotten or gone. I mean, I'm sure you guys won't forget it, but it is a
sweet summer child over
just
here.
watching it. You're just like, oh, another dream in Game of Thrones. These guys, they fire these off a lot. What's he talking about?
So we talked about this a little bit on the deep dive, that one of the most delightful things that George does when he talks about dreaming or prophecy is present riddles, right?
Yeah.
So we get a riddle here about a dragon whose wings spread across the meadow and falling on top of Duncan and all that sort of stuff like that. People who are reading, who are watching, can guess, because it could mean any number of things. And then we'll find out in due time what it means. But I guess we would not want to talk about that now. But I will say, we talked about Daeron the Drunken, this guy, who I love. In the book, they describe him having a sheen of sweat and basically the
Constantly,
DTs, his hands are shaking. So I love the makeup that they put on this guy. I love the wig work. He just looks completely miserable.
Yeah, I love that he's just hit me in the head pretty hard.
Yeah.
Just try to be gallant on the first charge.
Don't make it ring too loudly. In the mud. But we talked about him in season 1 of how House of the Dragon when Viserys was drunk at the hunt and talking to Alicent about his dreams in front of that big bonfire in the hunt episode. And just the burden of being a dreamer, like how much it weighed on Viserys. Daenerys Targaryen had dragon dreams that weighed on her too.
Did.
You know,
even some of the identical like my dreams come true language from Dany and Daeron here, carrying that.
So like this idea of being a dreamer is a curse.
Yeah, and for as sort of street level as this show is, this is successive episodes where we had the fortune teller, the previous episode. Now we have Daeron dreaming. So there is some sort of connection to the past and the future and the more magical elements of this show or this world expressed in this show.
When we did the trailer breakdowns and we were talking about some of like the Comic-Con panels and the press around the show, Joe had to like pull me back off the ledge because I was so excited for the show. The one thing that gave me anxiety was Ira Parker, who I think has done a fantastic job show running and bringing this adaptation to life, was like, is this not magic? And I was like, what about Daeron? Oh my God, they're not going to skip Daeron's dream, are they? And like this whole energy, which is so crucial across to your point, Targ history and the Targ line. And Joe was like, it's definitely going to be there. Like, it's okay. And then I calmed down and it was fine. And now here we are and I'm thrilled. But to that Viserys point, you know, the thing he says, like, what is the power of a dragon against the power of prophecy to Alicent? But then you have Daemon at the end of Hot D season 1 saying dreams didn't make us kings, dragons did. So again, even inside of the dynasty and the family, there's a conflict here. Are you a dreamer? Does it destroy you? Why is he Daeron the drunken? Because of the burden of these dreams. I love the line in the novella when he says, he's explaining why the Kingsguard are, you know, same thing, Egg and Daeron like reveal who is on the other side, the Kingsguard. They have small choice in the matter. They are sworn to protect the lives of the king and royal family, and my brothers and I are blood of the dragon. Gods help us. Like the burden of having born into this family. And you think about like Denise the Dreamer way back when. This is how to go back to escaping the doom and the fact that the Targaryens are the dragons. Way back when you're not familiar with,
but it's why the Targaryens.
It's why they're around.
Is it spelled with a Y?
Daenyys. Yeah, thanks for asking, George. But like the fact that the Targaryens are the dragon-riding family that survived the doom connects to a dream. Obviously, Hot D has spent a ton of time on Aegon the Conqueror's dream, the Song of Ice and Fire,
miscommunicated to multiple characters,
which went fine for everyone after there. So you know, Rhaegar, like all of these dreamers, it's inextricable to think about the history of this family and not talk about this.
I think that Daeron, more than any of the other dreamers that we've met in the text so far, really exemplifies what a curse this is.
Sure.
You know,
look at this guy, man.
The opening.
Do you recognize him from the first episode? Yeah.
But being like, I dreamed that you killed me, right?
Tough when Dunk has to remind him that he said that to him and he's like, did I? Oh boy, this guy is really going through it. Rough.
The opening, if not shot sequence of the series itself is the clouds going in front of the sun over a field that looks like a dragon, like hovering over. It basically looks like something has blotted out the sun.
Were you a big what shape is John's blood taking in the snow guy?
I didn't know that was a thing. Was that what was that? I just thought.
I thought this was a great moment on the internet. That's when we were really living.
Everyone had lost their marbles entirely.
Let's talk a little bit about the teams. Because you know, in this sports movie version of this, what's supposed to happen is nobody believes in Dunk. Then we have this like gambling subplot where it's like, oh no, is this really going to mean what it's supposed to mean if he's not winning it sincerely?
Yep.
And then it takes a left turn and it becomes this, you know, trial. And now he has to go raise like a mini army. It's really cool. I had a couple of questions about like what would have happened if this had happened. Because like I'm kind of like wondering, you've got this crowd who's already pissed off at Aerion about the horse situation. If they make this guy forfeit a trial by 7, which is like already an antiquated idea because they stole one of the dudes off of his team. Doesn't that seem kind of like...
It depends if you're at the podium sort of spinning it for
Aerion. Aerion Brightflame gave these guys every opportunity to raise it.
Sure did.
And it just goes to show
from the middle of the night to dawn.
How repulsive Duncan is that guys are leaving his team at the last second.
I loved how anemic the applause was for Aerion's team when they came out. They're like, yay, go.
Great stuff.
Something that I love about the adaptation. We talked around it a little bit, but now we can talk about it more plainly. The way they brought Lionel Baratheon up and made him a true character on the show, giving Raymun Fossoway a bit more time. So like when you think about Duncan's team, which is Raymun and Lionel, two characters we know very well, Baelor, a character we know very well, Robin Reisling, who we met in one scene, but that's more than he gets in the books.
Who
He's
is
the
that?
eye patch guy.
Oh, yeah.
And then, the Humphreys, Beesbury and Harding. And Humphrey Harding, at least, like we saw him break his leg under the horse. Yeah. So I think the show really tried to get us to know the members of Dunk's team, whereas in the book, which we love, but like Lionel shows up to this fight and we haven't spent any time with him.
And he's just like, I'm on your side.
And he's just sort of like, let's go. I love to fuck up.
He says the same thing about like, I'm not going to, this is the first one in more than 100 years. I'm not going to miss this.
Right. But like the work that this show did to make all of these characters, the team, an actual team that we're excited about.
Yeah.
And then we got to meet the Kingsguard, and we know Daeron, and we know Makar. We like know
the crab guy. Yeah.
Sweet Connell, your boy.
Yeah. We know Stefan. Like we know
baby.
all the members of the other team. Yeah. And so like that's just a really good work that they did on this adaptation.
Is Stefan's flip-flopping basically a case of like, this is the only way, if you're not royal born or like of a high house or whatever, to like advance in the world, is to like kind of step over other people?
I mean, I think the thing that's interesting about what Stefan does, it's a few things. We've seen from every moment we've had with him that he's a piece of shit, right? Like, he's calling Dunk a blue-eyed cunt when he meets him. He's like, oh, it matters of the hedge, right? Demeaning from the jump. He's mocking and belittling Raymun, his not only squire, but his family
Isn't
member.
he the one where Dunk's like, this is my sword that I got like through fair?
He's like, that's a weird thing to say.
He was right about that. It was a weird thing to say. This is mine by rights.
Stefan Fossoway continues to have great points. For Mallory Rubin.
He comes out in this really, and Joanna and I have matching apple tattoos, so who are we to besmirch some beautiful apple armor? But like, this is literally what Steely Pate was mocking to Dunk earlier in the season, right? He's like, I don't do like the fancy fruits and the wings and I give you good hard steel. So like, he's such a contrast in every respect to the humble nobility of Dunk.
Are we allowed to knock Stefan when Lionel Baratheon is wearing that armor? And we love Lionel?
I think that the fact that Lionel and Stefan, to your point about moving up Lionel and all the week, because like we have that wonderful conversation about like, inside each man there are many men and the Stormlords and licking the salts and all that. Like, we understand how he thinks about legacy. And so we have not only his connection to Dunk and the time they've spent, but that depth of insight into what drives him. Yeah. He is also like, I want to be a figure of lore. Yeah. I want to be a myth.
Yeah.
That's what Stefan is saying very baldly, like, they're going to give me a lordship. And whenever I have a tough day, I'm like, well, what can I do to get in the songs? There's something about that that's really similar, but we find ourselves rooting for Lionel and investing in him fully because Stefan is so motivated by just his own advancement. There's nothing deeper at all beyond that. And then you have Raymun, who is like, pushes him away, shoves his helmet to his chest the night that he's supposed to serve his family member. Have you forgotten your vows? That's what Stefan says to me. He's like, you're supposed to be my squire. No. Have you forgotten yours? You swore to be a knight.
Yeah.
Like, to your point about this thesis statement from Dunk, right? And I love the fact that the speech that Dunk makes to the masses, it's really like Lyanna Mormont-esque, right? This kind of an unexpected source being the one to look at everybody else and say like, did you forget what you were supposed to do?
This is
House Mormont remembers.
Yeah,
Sir Duncan the Tall remembers.
This is where I'm like Serwyn of the Mirror Shield, which is one of the puppet shows that we saw this season. He's holding up this mirror to his audience and saying, "Look at your fucking selves.
Yes.
Are there any true knights here?"
Yeah.
On the Fossoway question that you have, we talked about this a little bit on the deep dive, but they're like basically temporarily embarrassed. A house that they were once lords.
Yes.
And they were once extremely rich. And I think it's interesting that they cast an actor from West Yorkshire and an actor from Manchester, and they've got these like
outside
thick
of the
accents.
London Tony drama
and
school
they're like
bullshit.
it just it's a little confusing to me because Yorkshire is usually North coded, but that's okay. I love a regional accent. It just feels a little rough and tumble, when you meet the Fossoways, and he's just like Stefan's like, we used to be some of the richest motherfuckers in the Reach, and I think we deserve to be that again. Does he have a good point? No, but that's what he wants here.
Is there anything about how Dunk's big speech falls on deaf ears except to Baelor that should say anything about like the headspace of the realm at that point? I did not prepare you guys for this question, but I was kind of wondering, like, are there different points and different times where people are more apt to believe rallying cries like something like that? Are they all just kind of cynics? They're here at a second city tournament They kind of hate everything. We're throwing shit. This guy farted. It's the funniest thing that's happened in months.
The Brood of Bracken.
But it's not like
making an appearance. Great stuff.
It doesn't have. It's not like it doesn't fill you with a ton of like enthusiasm for the populace when they like, because like I wonder whether or not it's just like a moment of like emotional depression for Westeros.
for the realm.
I do think this is a slight and, to your point, notable adaptive change here, actually, because in the text, Dunk enters the field. He's with our guy Steely Pate, stealth MVP.
Nice.
Like, well, for you,
had a really good showing.
That's just incredible.
Really good showing.
And Dunk's like, man, all of these people came to watch me die, right?
Right.
Look how many people came to watch me die. It's like, but he wronged them. They start saying good fortune, and they're cheering him on. And he realizes they are for me. Why, he asked Pate. What am I to them? A knight who remembered his vows. So again,
so
this
it's a little bit of like
people.
Yeah.
it's a little bit different.
We'll see how the cheering goes.
We'll see how it goes.
Once it
Sure.
starts.
But in terms of the initial, like, he is this fog of war, literalized, that he walks into here, in this sense that like the line in the book's like, so he needs to find 6. He might as well find 6,000. He doesn't have friends. There was that great line earlier in the season about Arlen didn't have enemies, and we talked about like, well, if you don't, what about the other side of that? Who are your friends? And so the masses is one thing, but the people in Dunk's life who know him, Joe has been doing this beautiful job all season tracking. Steely Pate's been a great example of it. The subtle changes in how people respond to Dunk and look at him and think about him. Steely Pate saying, okay, your armor's going to be 800. Okay, we'll get it to 600. Now I put this rim around the shield just because I want you to be okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, when you see death omens everywhere, that the leaves on that elm are green. What in the George R. R. Martin universe could be more emboldening than A Dream of Fucking Spring? A book that I still believe maybe we could get one day, right?
Sure.
It's like
AI's doing amazing things.
Raymun, and we should talk about the Dunk.
That's so dystopian.
Yeah.
we should talk about
Anthropic R. Martin presents.
Jesus, grim. But Raymun, like, we should talk about who ends up knighting him and that part of it in a second here. But like, Raymun, sure, he wants to be a knight, but he is throwing himself into a situation that could not possibly be more perilous because he believes this is right.
I was going to ask this. They're all so scared. They're all like, this is real shit. Like, we've got lances and maces,
Lances of war,
and this is going to be really hard.
Yeah.
And then the Hand of the King puts himself on this other team.
Yeah.
Not just the Hand of the King, a badass, like, famous warrior that they wrote songs about, you know?
Because, like,
And Maker's like, fuck.
when this is
Incredible
first
reaction.
starting, I'm like, okay, so like, is this kind of more Aerion and Duncan have to like fight, but these other guys can kind of do the hockey thing where they grab each other's jerseys and skate away.
Yeah. Shout out Shorzy.
Yeah, they do that in Eater
Yeah,
rivalry.
yeah. Thanks for making that relatable to me.
Where they could do like basically like, oh yeah, stop. But really, Duncan and Aerion have to settle this. But I'm like, this is a controversial move because Baelor is now putting himself to some extent in harm's way.
I think the way that Raymun was talking about it makes it clear that like this is a fight. And what Egg says is that there will be guards around my dad, Makar will be fine. You're not gonna fuck up Daeron. It'll be fine. Yeah, he's gonna fall. It's gonna be fine. So that's all I care about on that side. But like otherwise, Raymun's like, this is a big deal. This is real, real weapons, real danger. And then he welcomes it. The knighting of Raymun Fossoway.
Right out of...
I mean...
It's so good.
That happens also kind of in Excalibur, the King Arthur movie, where he's like, you're not a knight. And he's like, you're right, so why don't you knight me? It's a little bit different in this, where he's like, we just need to grab somebody off the bench, so I'll just knight him. And then Lionel doing it is really cool. And that, like, Sarah Dina Smith does some cool stuff with, like, the voiceover of the knighting, but, like, showing...
Gorgeous. Yeah.
I think I'm trying to figure out why I started crying because like this is a very funny little show. There are some deep emotional things going on, but I actually did not expect to cry this morning watching it. But I think I was thinking a lot about our guy Podrick Payne and like who ends Game of Thrones on the Kingsguard. We don't see him knighted, but I was just imagining like Brienne probably knighted him and like I was just crying thinking about Podrick Payne.
Who gives the key
knighted.
nod in the Jamie Brienne knighting scene?
Exactly.
Right? Any knight can make a knight. It's Pod with the... I was thinking of him too.
But we do need to talk about Duncan not knighting him here.
Yes.
And everything that we get in this episode that I think it's safe. It's as much information as book readers have.
Yeah.
As to question whether or not Duncan is a real knight.
Yes.
This is something
do
that
you think that's why he didn't do it?
Oh, this is
in the book,
long running.
it feels very clear that that's why he doesn't do
theory
it.
and suspicion.
Any knight can make a knight, and he's like, I'm not a knight, so I can't do this. And then Lionel's like, don't worry, I got you.
But does he say it or does he think it?
No. Raymun, I should not. Skip a few sentences. Do you doubt my courage? Raymun asked. No, said Dunk. Not that, but still he hesitated. Skip a few sentences. Dunk left them there, feeling as relieved as he was guilty. When Plumber asked him at the beginning, when they're going through the whole, like, I'm trying to enter the list, there's like a description of his burning ears. We've always thought that the key, you could be here for 5 hours, and maybe we will be talking about the evidence, but the line, actually, when Dunk and Egg are talking, and
that's it, a monstrous
lie, because
Yeah.
Dunk, in the episode, he sort of, it's the shift from their very painful and intense conversation, which I
Really
loved, taking this beautiful idea of chance meetings and the spin of like, it was unlucky, how devastating to think about it that way, that we crossed each other's paths. Then he's very quickly defending Egg to Baelor, right? He's a good boy. The line in the book where that kind of softens him, they're like, oh, top of Aegon's Hill, Flea Bottom, we're not so far, it wasn't so far apart after all, finding that commonality together. But Dunk looked at him thoughtfully. He knew what it was like to want something so badly that you would tell a monstrous lie just to get near it. I thought you were like me, he said. Might be you are, only not the way I thought.
Print the legend, brother.
Incredible
Nobody
stuff.
knows the difference.
But isn't the point of the show to, like, you noting this thesis? Does it matter? Dunk is behaving like a true
More
knight
knightly than any of the
so
knights.
few other
Yeah.
people will.
And to go back to your question of sort of like nobody responding when
Yeah.
Duncan gives this rousing speech, I think that's just more to underline what the show has been underlining, which is like the hollowness of most of the knights of the realm and the true honor of your Dunks or your Raymuns or your
so long
Baelors.
since these people have seen a real knight that they don't even know how to react when they see
And the
one.
fact that the show opens with him burying Arlen, whose lessons he's going to carry on, that will show him what his hand has wrought. Well, here's what his hand has wrought. But also when he's burying him, what does he say? Like, I don't know the words. Like, I wish there were a septum here. I don't know the words. And then he has to find the words here to try to make this appeal. And
he also doesn't know what the trial of 7 is. He's like, Arlen was not a big religious guy. I don't know.
Yeah, he hasn't been crunching Maegor the Cruel tape, I guess, to learn about how that trial of 7 went. Not well.
Have we ever seen a trial of 7? And
no, but I mean, obviously, we've seen a ton of trial by combat,
sure.
Which, it's a fun, I think, thing for this novella and this season of TV to do, to say, here's something very familiar. Obviously, this came out before a lot of the other things, but in terms of the order people are receiving the show now, but give it a little twist.
Yeah.
Like, Dunk was never going to ask for a champion. He was going to go fight on his own. So you're thinking of all of these different examples. Tyrion more than once, Bronn and then Oberyn, etc. Beric and the Hound. Even just like Jaime talking to Ned about, like, when I, killed the Mad King, it felt like justice because of your father, Rickard, and the trial by who did the Mad King invoke as his champion? Fucking fire. Yeah, House Targaryen's fine. They're always fine. That's deranged, right? On and on the list goes. Tommen eventually outlawing trial by combat, etc. This is, to get the trial of 7 is a fun wrinkle because it's about who is willing to stand by you. And they all have their own reasons. Humphrey Harding is like, this fucker killed my horse and smashed my leg. I have I'm seeking vengeance.
Like, as long as I can be on a horse, I'm okay.
That's honestly like so tough. That's awesome.
They
That's
duct taped him into a saddle.
We were talking today, we were recording the watch today, we were talking about Lindsey Vonn is going to ski with a torn ACL.
Yes.
Seriously.
And we were like, how?
I love the Olympics.
Like, how can you do that? That's basically Lindsey Vonn, is what I'm saying.
Mallory, can I ask you a question?
But Lindsey Vonn in Westeros. Yeah.
It's more of a statement. Sorry.
Mallory, a statement.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised your favorite moment of the episode wasn't Dunk befriending a little rat in his jail cell.
We've got Preston right here.
Yeah,
I was wondering,
oh my God. What?
Because
rat
of the rats
the whole time.
He's always been there.
You got to put him behind you.
The rats and hot tea. Were you thinking about Blood and Cheese? Were you thinking about your favorite rat
No,
catchers?
I was thinking about
Laris?
the way my Boston apartment was at the end before I left it.
I was thinking Dunk is starving, and there's a different show where like he grabs and eats that rat, but he's like,
he's so tender,
little friend.
Yeah. How about learning that Egg is like a cat guy? Shout out Sir Pounce. Thinking
you
of
say?
Tommen.
We haven't really talked about Egg.
Would you say no one is more accursed than the Kitslayer for Aerion Brightflame? Why not? I was waiting this whole episode to say that.
Certainly would.
What did you think of when they cut to Aegon and he's just swinging that giant axe in the
It was
background
really
of the
cute.
shot?
He's a little bit in the background of this episode, but thought he was great. Again, performance and, definitely paints this portrait of being terrorized by Aerion and then Aerion turning around being like, I love my brothers. I love them. They're great brothers.
I mean, what Baelor does and what Egg does, like really can't like overstate the significance of it. I mean, Egg is out actively recruiting people for Dunk's side, and it's such a cementing of their allegiance.
I'm surprised he wasn't grounded, to be completely honest, that he was allowed like.
He's out there rocking
Maker's got his hands
doublet.
full. Daeron and Aerion, he like can't keep track of Egg. I think that on the Baelor front, there's an adaptive change that happens in this episode where when Dunk is taken before Baelor, Dunk is a bit more sort of active and aggressive than he is in the book in terms of like he's debating him. He's like, wouldn't you have done the same? Like these are things that sort of Baelor is monologuing and they turned it into a dialogue, which just makes Dunk feel a bit more sure of himself inside of that scene.
Looks
that
very
I thought
substantial too, because Baelor obviously is treating him as like a quasi equal.
Right. And
where
then
he's almost just like, I agree with you, but like the rules are the rules.
Right.
And without rules, you get Blackfire rebellions.
For him to, fair enough. But then for him to show up at the end and basically like quote Duncan back to him is like, which is, you know, again, an adaptive change, but like something that I think is so speaks to Baelor, our hottest fave.
Genuinely the best.
Like taking lessons from anyone.
Yes.
You can take a lesson from a hedge knight. Doesn't matter if you're the heir to the throne. Who, you know, best idea wins sort of thing.
I love that. And it's such a great way to really connect to what we saw from him in episode 2 when he had such grace. He's the one who remembers Arlen of everyone. He's the one who easily calls Dunk sir and tells him to rise and welcomes him. And the tonal shift here does heighten the tension and the anxiety of the moment, but it feels like a very natural continuation. And I love that too, because we've talked about that a lot with Dunk and Egg, how they're both learning from each other. Baelor calls him into the room to suggest trial by combat. It's not like he's like, fuck off. Like he wants to help him. I loved the look that Birdie as Baelor gave to Finn Bennett Aerion when he's like, you know, talking about guilt. Like he's just like, you are the one who is in the wrong here. But still, to your point, Dunk giving him in this scene and the energy of it, that final little bit of a boost to encourage him to make the choice to ride out. So in the minds of Thrones fans, it is, I think, so like evocative of Oberyn, of course. But Oberyn, that's an iconic moment. It's more iconic ultimately because we've spent 4 seasons and 3 books with Tyrion. By then, we've spent a season and a book with Oberyn. There's just less time with these characters. However, what Baelor does here is more noble. No question. Oberyn is driven by his personal vengeance. He would call it justice, but it's vengeance. And I'm not saying that's wrong.
Sure.
But there is a reason that he is doing that.
The game is the game. I gotta respect it.
What about what I want, he says. What about what I want? That's not what Baelor is doing here.
Right.
He's like, what is right? And Dunk has helped him see that. There's an incredible lesson there. You know, when Dunk in the novella sees the Fossoway apple, our guy Raymun, he's like, describes it as like, it looked like hope.
Our guy Raymun.
I love Raymun.
Raymun you like.
I love Raymun. Stefan is a piece of garbage. But like, this is hope. The idea of a person in power in this family, in this realm, who could try to do the right thing. How truly, truly rare.
I'm sure everything will work out great. Let's.
How about the Thrones theme music at the end? True, bold.
I couldn't hear it. I was
really getting it. No cut to diarrhea this time. Just like fuck, we're in it. I
was in WordPress just being like, did Aerion have a point? Okay. We'll wrap it up there.
Right into the CMS.
No, he does that.
I do that.
I also do that.
Dude, one of my favorite Chris things from the years, especially in the big blog days, was he would send a Slack in the production Slack and just say,
you would usually have to say,
you'd drop something on Trello. I've done this. This has gone.
Somebody else has edited it. You know, then that editor.
I am to the desk.
I wrote hits. You know.
Yeah. C is dope, man.
I wrote a lot of hit misses though. You know,
No.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
You miss on 1,000% of the blogs you don't write, you know?
Into the CMS.
We'll end it there.
Was this your favorite episode of the season so far?
They are fantastic. Everyone successive is my favorite episode of the season. We'll end it there. Episode 5 next Sunday, no Super Bowl. So we'll be back at our usual time.
Who's going to win the Super Bowl? What do you think?
Seahawks.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, let's go.
That's what I've heard.
Do you know that the Seahawks head coach is a Ringer fan? Talk the Thrones
Mike
fan.
McDonald's a Talk the Thrones fan?
You remember I am to the desk and blogging, but you don't remember meeting Mike McDonald in the Ringer offices back in the day?
Not at all.
Jeez.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if you're listening, I would remember.
Yeah, there you go. Mike, come back. To be fair,
Mike McDonald looks like anonymous. Like if you put Mike McDonald looks like 2 million white men to me. And there's nothing wrong with that.
In a trench coat.
But, no. I'm just saying, don't you think Mike McDonald is not the most distinctive looking person?
Well, he was a wonderful coach of the Baltimore Ravens back in the day.
I love Mike McDonald.
I hope he wins a Super Bowl, and I hope the Patriots eat shit.
Great.
See you guys on next Sunday.
Bye.